Hey, what's up? Chase Craig here with Own Boise and Keller Williams Realty Boise, and I am back again to talk market dynamics. I have been eagerly awaiting seeing these numbers, and I'm so excited to bring them to you today. If you remember last month, we saw inventory double, and you can go watch that video to see what I thought about that. We're going to dive into what inventory did here and how demand's keeping up. And without further ado, let's jump in and look at the numbers. So last month, or 2 months ago, we were at February, the lowest inventory we've ever had in February since we've been tracking this, 337, super low. We saw the number doubled, not concerned at all. We could really use it, and I'll show you why in a second. And then I told you I wouldn't be surprised if this month's number jumped up somewhere between 800 and 1,000, and I still wouldn't be worried. Well, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on which side of the equation you're on, we only went up 40 listings. So let's put that into perspective here. We typically rise during the month of February, and year over year, the month of March, we were actually year over year a little bit higher. I think we were like 630 or something last year this time in March. And now, as we're sitting here year over year in April, we're actually low. We're down. We're down about 69 listings year over year. So roughly 10% lower inventory than we were this time last year. So good news, bad news. Good news is if you are a seller, prices are still holding strong. Demand is still very strong. One of the number one things pushing that demand is interest rates are insanely low. I'm hearing somewhere between 2 3/4 and 3 1/4 for a 30-year fixed on an interest rate. That means affordability is great. Even though prices are through the roof, affordability is still there and demand's still there. So let's dive into what that means for the inventory. We always look at this months of inventory, which is super important to tell us where the market's going. So as a reminder, somewhere between 5 months and 7 months of inventory is considered a balanced market. So as long as we're in between there, there's not really an advantage to a buyer or a seller. Once you get below 5 months worth of inventory, that's a seller's market. Once you go above 7 months of inventory, that ends up being a buyer's market. And that's when you start to see price negotiations take place much more frequently. So what's changed? Well, almost every single price point, under $1 million has either gone down or stayed the same. In fact, under $600,000, we've seen some downward pressure. And what I think that was is right towards the end of March, we actually saw a tremendous amount of homes coming back on the market because they were falling apart either from fears of COVID-19 or people losing their jobs. And that inventory, it's shown in April, got snatched up right away. So it was a momentarily blip on the radar for that month. So what has changed here? Well, our inventory over $1 million plus has gone up. It was at the end of February, it was 2.9 months. Last month, at the end of March, it was 5, and now it's 6.7 months of supply. We're not seeing nearly as much demand. I think a lot of that is because most of that buyer traffic is driven from out-of-state buyers. And right now, not a lot of people are traveling from out of state because they can't, or they might be waiting for things to clear up a little bit with COVID-19 and the virus and the stay-at-home orders they're dealing with in each state. So if you're over $1 million right now, you're nearing being in a position where it's going to be a buyer's market and we're going to see negotiations. We'll have to see. This is such a short-term look. Nothing to really get too crazy about. Now, if you've been watching these for a while, that I love to nerd out on numbers, and I put together my own spreadsheet just kind of tracking what's happening here. So let me show you. Basically, since the beginning, actually 2 weeks before the beginning, I've tracked these categories: back on market, price changes, new listings, pendings, canceled and expired. This is strictly for Ada County. So if you're looking for something else, we can get you this data. You just need to reach out to us. Our team at Own Boise would love to get any data you want to know. So I wanted to find out, okay, I've got these numbers. Now I want to know what were the same time last year. And again, this is before the virus really impacted our economy locally here. This is the first part of March. Well, what happened when we kind of crept into where the virus was making its headway? Well, 95% higher back on market than year over year. 90% higher year over year for the last month of March, or the last week of March. That's exactly what I was saying, is we saw that number spike and inventory go up, but of course they were snatched up. So let's come up to more recent numbers here. This is the most recent week that I have. You can see that pending sales have actually been down a little bit. So we were down 50% year over year at the beginning of April, 30%, 3%, which is interesting because we actually had 209 sales this time, or this week last year, which is really low at that time. And I'm assuming it's due to inventory. But going back through these pending numbers, our pending sales are down. A lot of that is due to the virus. Quite a bit of it's also due to the lack of inventory that we have. We have less inventory today than we did this time last year, and that could be leading into that number a little bit. So as you know, here at Own Boise, we want to keep you informed. We want to make sure you have all the data you need to make the right decision for you. And here's something else we want you to know. You don't have to know what all this stuff means. If you have a particular situation, you're looking to buy or sell in the next 12 to 24 months, and you're curious what makes the most sense for you, please reach out to us. That's what we're here for. You can reach out to us at any time. We'll make sure you have all of our information in either the email that you receive this in, or if it's on YouTube that you're watching it, or Facebook or Instagram. Definitely reach out to us. We want to be able to help advise you so you can ultimately make the directive decision on where you want to go. Thanks so much for watching this. I'm Chase Craig with Own Boise, and we'd love to help you out if we can. Have an amazing day.